John here. I'm gonna hop in the chat, say what's up to everybody. Hit the bell, the notification bell, if you'd like to be updated on my next live stream. So, quick sound check. Can you guys hear me good? I think the settings should be great by now, but can you guys hear me good? Give me a thumbs up. You guys can hear me well. And then I'm gonna begin. Let's see here, 1 second. Yep, cool. Good on sound. All right, so what we've seen over the last roughly 18 months, 2 years almost now, is we've seen a huge exodus to places like Florida and places like Texas. And Texas has really been kind of the anchor for a lot of corporations, a lot of people living in expensive cities, because they could leave their New York City apartment paying $4,000 a month, and then they can go to Texas, buy a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 house, put 20% down, and live there for a fraction of what they're paying in New York City. And all the while, they have a better lifestyle. You know, they're able to go out and enjoy the city and enjoy the town. But everything now is changing. And there's some really, really big concerns about the economy of Texas and why I personally believe that it's not looking good for Texas. And here's why. So I'm going to screen share this with you guys. Right now, Texas they have no income tax. So everyone knows that, right? So if you're in California or Florida, you might pay 10 or 15 or 16% just to the state in income tax. In Texas, there's no income tax. So instead of collecting income taxes, Texas relies on high sales and uses taxes when paired with local taxes. Total sales tax in some jurisdictions are as high as 8.5%, still not that high compared to California. And it's a homestead state. So homestead exemptions remove part of your home's value from taxation. So the lower your taxes, for example, your home is appraised at $100K and you qualify for $25,000 exemption. This is the amount mandated for school districts. You will pay school taxes on the home if it were $75K. So in addition to that, also, if you are in a lawsuit or anything like that, and you buy a home in Texas, it's a homestead and the house is protected from any creditors, with the exception of, Big Brother. But any creditors, your home would be protected. So right now, what we're seeing here is hold on 1 second, the wrong link. What we're seeing here is Silicon Valley moving to Texas. We've seen that for a while, like huge names. We've seen companies such as Hewlett Packard, Oracle, 8VC, Fire Trail, a lot of big names, right? Elon, Douglas Emmett, and Drew Houston, the Dropbox CEO. We've seen a lot of really, really big companies moving there, and they're bringing their high-paying employees, and it's been great for the economy, right? But the economy is about to go through a really, really, really big change, a huge change, in fact, because if this happens, people don't know who this man is. But if this man steps in and replaces Abbott, right, you can see kind of, who he has, supporting him, right? Some big names. But this is 2017, 2018. Now, let's take a look at who is supporting him now, right? And you'll have an idea of what would happen to Texas, right? Big names. So some big ones, some really, really, really big ones. And so if this happens, and then we start digging through some of the names, there's some of the policies behind the name, then what we're going to see is a complete restructuring of the economy, right? And so the question that I ask myself is, when we're comparing what he's saying here, right here, he said the past February, when the electricity grid failed and millions of our fellow Texans were out with power, which meant that the lights wouldn't turn on, the heat wouldn't run, and pretty soon their pipes froze and the water stopped flowing. They were abandoned by those who were elected to serve and look out for them, O'Rourke said. It's a symptom of a much larger problem that we have in Texas right now. Those in positions of public trust have stopped listening to, serving, and paying attention to and trusting the people of Texas, and so they're not focused on the things that they really want them to do. For a work, those own policies shifted leftward during 2020 presidential run, right? Together we can push past the small and divisive politics in Texas. But he goes on to say right here, I think it's right here, right? He didn't really emphasize this and this very much when he was running against Ted Cruz, but he's got a field that is absolutely filled with people who are making a campaign item over voters to consider, and I think he's going to have to adjust his narrative when he's out in the trail, right? Storms like Harvey, right here. Some will criticize the New Deal for being too bold or being unmanageable, but I'll tell you what, I haven't seen anything better that addresses a singular crisis we face. A crisis at its worst could lead to boom. Literally, the future depends on it. So right now, when we look at the economy in Texas, because this is very, very important, the entire economy is Texas, 35% approximately is oil and gas, right? And so when you have 35% of oil and gas, says oil and gas 35%, even they fact check it, most likely true. Here's why. Texas oil and gas sector took up a tumble in 2020 when this was compounded by a Saudi Arabian price war, right? Last year, oil and gas was about 35% of the state's economy. And so because this industry is down, it's going to affect everything. So what's happening right now is, yes, they're losing a little bit on this oil and gas thing, but they're also gaining a lot because a lot of people are coming in with money. And so they're losing in one area and gaining in another. My fear is that they start losing in more and more here due to these policies. And if those policies start changing, capital is likely going to continue flowing out of Texas. So O'Rourke, in addition to that, he also wants to make this very, very, very radical change here, which is to Texas is a far, like a traditional American state. People, they love, their Second Amendment. They love all that over in Texas. They love that freedom, right? But he is coming after, how Texas traditionally operates. So he's not just going to change the oil and gas sector, but what's most likely going to continue happening is that Beto O'Rourke, who's running, governor of Texas, said Sunday that his campaign is not going to be about Biden, as he blasted he said that he did not want Biden to assist in this run. So they are going to have some big changes. And I think it's all going to be in line with what we're seeing in California, what we're seeing in New York. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm not trying to zap hope or anything like that, because a lot of people say, hey, Florida and Texas are the best. And for now, I agree. I mean, they're open, no income tax. It's been great, right? But how long is it going to last? Is it going to be something that's going to be, 2 years, 5 years, 6 months? Is it going to be the only place, those two states are going to be the only locations that are completely, up and running? I don't know. To me, this person here will completely change the confidence level, I think, in millions of Texans across the entire state. And everyone's going to be looking closely at this race. So during an appearance on CNN's State of the Union, O'Rourke was asked to host, and this campaign in Texas is not going to be about him. It's not going to be about, and it's going to be about outside of our state. This is going to be about what the people of Texas and what the people of Texas want. And I told you, they want a big things like jobs, great schools, and more sure can see a doctor. But they want to see some competence in their government, right? They want to see some competence in their government. Someone said, CNN Politico, give me a break. What you're not realizing, maybe you are, is that across all mainstream, it's the same thing. So you can pull from any which source, it's all the same. That's it. I mean, someone said Beto won't make it. He might not. He might not. But if you look at who is behind it right now, right? Boom, these are the donors. So boom, boom, boom. Like these are some big, big, big names. These are some very, very big names. So these are all contributing, and it's only just started. So I think that people should not write this off, because I think it's if I had to bet on it, I would probably say that it's more likely that Abbott gets pushed out than pushed in, or gets an extension. So what they're also saying here, which is very fascinating together, he says that let's see, right here, 68,000 Texas have on Abbott's watch, right? So he's blaming all that on Abbott. More will do that as he prevents employers from protecting customers and employees. These are some very important words. You have to understand what he's saying here. He's saying that oil and gas, those industries will need to be pulled back a lot. That's 35% of the economy. He is saying that they need to allow employers, right, and employees to take more safety precautions, right? Which is also going to push a lot more people to the idea of, hey, why am I going to be in Texas when I can be anywhere else and it'll be the same thing? This is one of the main drivers of Texas right now, is the fact that it's open. It's open. The real estate market's absolutely booming. I mean, rents are through the roof in Texas. They are $750 rent increase. People are seeing like massive rent increases. And it's because people are fighting to get in there. I have 10 days to figure it out. This person just got hit with a massive rent increase. And we're seeing that across the board. So what is unfortunate to me is that I think that we're stepping into a situation where, unfortunately, it's Texas and Florida were both kind of positioned as the be-all, end-all for a lot of people that had some money, that could work from home, and that were living in an expensive city. Like, hey, I can live anywhere. I might as well live where I can, walk outside and, go to a coffee shop, hang out with my friends, go to a bar, and, and kind of resume normal. But when things start changing and one thing happens with Texas, like it looks like it's very likely going to, then what's going to happen with Florida? Who's going to run against DeSantis, and how is that going to play out? Because I personally think that if you look at the overall structure of everything that's happening, it's all sitting on the shoulders of Texas and Florida. And I think those states, unfortunately, I would love to say that those are going to be the best states to invest. I mean, I'm closing on a deal in Florida in 2 days, or 3 days. No, 2 days. And I know that more than likely, values are going to fall, but I'd rather have the deal than not have it. So, and I feel like the dollar is going to continue getting punished over the next couple of years. So I'd rather just own the property. But even Texas, even Florida, I think that those markets specifically have seen rapid appreciation across all of their properties, across nearly all industries. People are rushing out to buy farmland in Texas, buy brand new units all across Austin, and it could be short-lived if this happens and we see a big change in the direction of how Texas is being run right now. But I'm not saying that I don't want to kill hope, but if you look at it, what I would definitely suggest is anyone can really considering to buy a big house, maybe something that's a little expensive, is if you can wait, I would wait to see how this thing plays out. Because if things play out and there's a new direction for Texas, obviously, the confidence level of home buyers, real estate developers, home flippers will likely change. They're not going to spend what they were spending before to build if the demand slowly starts fading out. What do you guys think about this? It says Texas are conservative. Yeah, well, you're also having a lot of people move to Texas. You're also having, if you go to Austin, I've seen a lot of different videos where the homeless problem is out of control. And there's just a lot of new people in Texas, a lot of new policies. And Texas it's in a delicate place right now. It's not, the anchor that it once was. Let's see here. I'm going to read, love the country avoiding Texas conservative. Texas is Texas. NYC is NYC. Yeah, I mean, well, it doesn't take much for Texas to go NYC. It really doesn't. You step into a recession, you have 35% of the oil and gas industry in Texas. If they start pulling back even 10 or 15%, just a 10% drop of that industry, you have 35% of the entire population. So to put this into context, right now, Texas, the population in Texas is 29 million. So 29 million. So 35%. You're talking over 10 million people would lose their job. Could lose their job as those industries are changed, right? And he's saying that they have to get these industries changed. So if you look at what he's saying, he's literally telling you that this whole thing needs to change, right? This is what he said. So if he's saying that the entire industry has to change, and then Texas is built on that industry, 35% of the overall economy is that, right? So you have 35% of the economy. He's saying he needs to change that economy. He's saying that he's blaming all this on Texas for not following New York, right? What does that say? To me, it says that in the event that he does take it, that Texas will become New York, no doubt. Texas will become New York. And the people that are, that want him to win have influence, right? So these are some really, really big questions that I think a lot of people need to look into. What do you guys think about this information? Yeah. Used to live in Dallas. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not killing hope, but if you're out there and you want to invest in Texas and buy real estate there, I think Texas is amazing. It's beautiful right now. Depending on where you are, we almost bought a ranch out in northeast Texas, out in the middle of nowhere, and the deal didn't stick. But we wanted to be in Texas. We wanted to get a nice place out there, have a little farm. Like, we wanted to have a little place where we could stay and go to and from. But right now, if you ask me, will I buy a home in Texas? I am a little bit more reserved because I want to know, what's the future of Texas look like? How will values hold? What will the policies look like? And am I buying into something that I want to buy into, or am I going to buy into something and then later maybe not want to spend as much time there? It's a big question, right? So we'll see how the economy holds up. We'll see how the real estate market holds up, and we'll see what happens to all those people. But if you think about it like this, it's very fascinating, right? You have 35% of the population out of 29 million people. You have over 10 million people that could potentially be in trouble financially. And then they start rolling out some type of universal basic income program or some type of income program to help those people, then the direction of Texas will definitely change, right? So there are ways in which Texas could change, and it seems pretty simple to me for those ways to become reality. But yeah, I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to keep you guys updated on all that. Hit the notification bell if you want to be updated on my next live stream. I'm probably going to go live in a little bit because I've found out a bombshell, an absolute bombshell about Bezos and Obama that I'm going to be doing a live stream on. So if you want to hear about that, hit the notification bell, just subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.